Welcome to The Story Tinker, a Webtoons and Witcher podcast for superfans with scene-by-scene analysis. Featuring sharp co-hosts for a fuller picture, we dive deep into character psychology, relationships, and theories. We'd love it if you could like, subscribe, comment, and rate us on all podcast platforms and social media. For bonus content, you can support The Story Tinker on Patreon. Let's begin. Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of 𝗙𝗃𝗋𝗄𝗧 podcast. And today we have with us the guest host of Tanya. I'll let Tanya introduce herself.
Hello, hi, I'm Tanya. I'm an avid reader of webtoons. I am just so preoccupied with Midnight Poppyland. I absolutely adore this, so that's one of my favourite things to do. Apart from that, I sew, I dance salsa. I used to work in the pharmaceutical industry. I suppose that's really much about me. In a nutshell, really. Oh, and I'm in the UK as well. I'm based in the UK as well, so I'm just outside of London. That's where I'm actually based. But yeah.
So last episode ended with Poppy and Tora on the train. Tora basically, gave her his jacket after her shirt ripped open, and he threw this paper airplane at her with her paper. And, afterwards she was like, Poppy was freaked out. Tora felt like emotionally stirred by what he had seen as well. He was clearly, shaken. And right now, episode 4 starts off with Poppy at the police station because she wanted to report the fact that this guy took a picture of her with her chest exposed.
Yeah, okay, absolutely. I'd also like to mention as well that I think Tora's quite, despite him taking a photo of Poppy without her permission, which was wrong, that naughty, at least he was a gentleman to give her his top. So, at least that sort of compensates it to a certain extent. Anyhow, based on the advice on the train, she went to the police station. But I think Poppy's a very I don't think she's used to going to the police station, because when she went there, it was a very overwhelming experience for her. From what I interpreted anyway. So as you can see at the very beginning, she has to register at the police station, and then she's being accompanied by an officer to her interview to make a complaint about having that unauthorized picture taken of her by Tora. You can see she's very, very nervous. Sorry?
Right. She feels like she's the one who committed a crime.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, she feels very nervous. She's not used to that kind of place. She's not from that type of area. She's not that type of girl. So you can see she's getting a little bit of an initiation into a little bits of clues here and there as to the type of things she's going to be exposed to later on in the story. Not saying that she might get caught up in crime herself, but because of the environment that she will soon step into.
Right.
As the story progresses.
For sure. Showing the huge contrast between where she is and where she'll be.
Exactly. So, yes, so even the police officer notices she's very nervous as well, and she's not used to this sort of place as well. He tries to make a joke of it as well to try and put her at ease. That's how I would see that, she feels a little bit nervous. And I think he makes it, helps her in that way. But there's this smell or scent that she keeps smelling. But she's trying to work out where's this scent coming from, but she says it's in the police station, which I thought, it's a bit strange. But then, as the things progress, where this smell on the actual hoodie itself, but she thinks it's from the actual area, from the police station, because to me, in a police station, it would probably smell a bit rough with all sweaty bodies and and bodily fluids or something like that, of people being injured and stuff like that, or and arrested or whatever, and waiting to be seen. But she says, but then I'm thinking, is the smell supposed to comfort her to a certain extent? Because she actually does like the smell. She likes the scent.
Yeah, later she does, but she says that she's been smelling it all day, and now she's smelling it here too.
Yeah. I did think, oh, that's a bit unusual for that, for her to, because at first it seems like she was bothered by it initially, but then towards the end she actually enjoyed it as well. But
Yeah, I didn't see her as being bothered by it. I just saw her as, trying to figure out where it was from.
Yeah. Well, because she kept saying, well, where's this smell coming from? Where's it coming from? Words to that effect. So, but okay, I suppose that's another way of looking at it. And then they approach, and the officer approach some criminals that are waiting to be seen, and they look so intimidating. Really,
Puppy's starting to sweat.
Yes, and I don't think she's really used to it. And also because the officer's saying that the department branch is old and cramped, so therefore they've not really had any way to separate the victims from the perpetrators or from the criminals as well. So it can be a very intimidating place to be. Yes, because when they said the suspects and the victims are interviewed in the same area, that can put a few people off from taking things further. But he apologized. The officer apologized, and I suppose that he just explained. But it's the way that the criminals are looking at her.
Right. They're all looking straight in her face with like anger and resentment in their eyes.
Yes.
Which is super scary for her.
Yes. And it's not like she has had any dealings with any of them directly. But I think, I'm wondering if it is a place, for the criminals, a place of misplaced frustration. They're just angry that they're in that place, but they just want to take it out on somebody who looks as if they would be easy to pick on, if that makes any sense. Right.
Or maybe somebody who doesn't share their life. We don't know who these people are, but we know like Tora himself is a gangster, and he could very easily be one of those in the, sitting there being arrested. And they might be looking at someone like Poppy, who is free and who has never had to live the kind of life that they have, and look at her with this kind of jealousy and resentment because she's been spared from the misery that they have.
Yes, that's another way of looking at it. I suppose where I was looking at it was that she's not from that area, and she stands out so much. She's like a beacon. And they're like, she's not from this area, so we can intimidate her any style we want. And she sort of falls for that. She doesn't sort of cut herself off from that as well. But I think she's trying to understand why are they looking at her like that. Because there's another panel in there where she looks really, I think she looks a little bit stunned and a bit upset that they're staring her down like that, as if they want to come after her, as if they want to attack her. And all she's there is gone to make a complaint about something that has nothing to do with them. But yeah. But then, in a way, those criminals staring at her, all of a sudden she sort of has a flashback.
Right. And it's like what you said, right? That she's not from the area. And now she's remembering what her landlady said when she first moved in 3 months ago to Narin City.
Yes. So that's having, and when she's having a discussion with Mrs. Harrow, her landlady, and as the conversation transpires between the two of them, landlady thought, okay, I'll give you some heads up, let you know what's going on in Narin City since you're new to the area, and that she's telling her it looks quite safe. However, stay away from 𝗟𝗡 Street as well.
Right, and then like Lily shows us this, these images that are quite intimidating and scary looking, with like these SWAT police people at this, when they had this party, which was, we know later was for Vincent Baltuman, his birthday party. And, they had, how much does it say? Hundreds of heavily armed police officers. And you actually see, this picture of these heavily tattooed gang members, and you see in the background Tora and this pink-haired woman who we'll encounter later, as being part of this party.
Yeah. Yes. I'm going to backtrack a little. I'm actually going to backtrack a little bit. And we see the sign 𝗬𝗏 Street. Aries is the god of chaotic war in Greek mythology. That's the first thing I saw. And I thought, okay, what does that mean? What does that mean? So I'm thinking, well, okay, gangland fights. In a way that can be quite chaotic. And they can have a war amongst various tribes or clans. That can be quite chaotic in its way. So it's like Aries, it's like sort of saying, this is a place where a lot of war takes place. It's it's quite a disturbing sort of place. It's a lot of action that goes on in this area. That's what that sign says to me anyway. That's how I look at it. And in the sign and surrounding the background of the sign as well, you'll see a lot of noises that are going on. So it's a very there's a lot of action going on in that area, and it's not particularly pleasant either as well.
Yeah.
But yes, and then yes, again followed by you see the heavily armored police as well, having the fights with all the gangs as well. So you're thinking, wow, this place where the police can't even control the gangs, there's a lot of gangland control there without a doubt as well. And yes, with and they're saying that hundreds of heavily armed police officers need to control these gangs, but they don't really, because there's certain areas that they don't really go to. They just let the gangs get on with it, to be honest. So they have a lot of power more so than the police. And with the picture with the two heavily tattooed gang members, yes, you see Tora in the back. He's talking to Cindy.
I think Cindy. Yeah.
I think it's Cindy. I think that's is it 𝗪𝗪's sister? Is that 𝗪𝗪?
Well, that we don't know, right?
Yeah, I know it's one of the guys. Yeah.
Her name is Candy. We'll come across her later.
Yeah. I think that's Candy with the pink hair. I think that's because she did ask another guy what happened to Tora because she'd not seen him for a while. But in the background, when you see her talking to Tora, he looks really disinterested.
Yes. And she was yapping.
Yeah. It's like she's trying to generate some conversation, and he's just bored, really.
You see, that's typical of his treatment of pretty shallow women. He just ignores them. He isn't interested in them at all.
Yeah. The lady, you can see she has interest in him. He's not really bothered about that as well. I thought also I'd have a look at the tattoos as well.
Okay.
Of the ganglands in the foreground, nearer to us, and it was quite interesting to see where they have their tattoos. Some have them right on their forehead, some on the neck as well. And
I see one hand has two guns crossed.
Yeah. And I like all the designs and patterns on there as well. And I think also it's to distinguish which clan you belong to. Yeah, it's like definite markings on there. The one with the guns and roses, that's an interesting one as well. They're trying to say that they'll kill with kindness or something like that. I don't know. You can see the two guns crossed on his forehead with the roses underneath as well. So
yeah, maybe you like glamorizing your lifestyle and showing that it's violent but beautiful.
Yeah. It's quite I quite like this. And then
so then it goes directly to the panel of Poppy, and it's a total distinction to the violent panel before, because she's there, she's got her hair in a pony and a bow in her hair, and she's eating a cookie, and her t-shirt says "Dream Big, Little Mermaid," and she's like a picture of innocence, and she's totally thrown off by this news, and in the middle of eating a cookie, just like so cute, and she's terrified, and she's like, oh no, I didn't know this. That's something I saw when I researched this on the internet.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Louise is like, she's worried about the apartment, and she's like, I finally found a tenant, and she's like, don't worry, it's not too bad.
Yeah. I think because the landlady wants her money, so she wants to hold on to the money. So she's having a little bit of regret from being honest with her, but then she tries to turn it around to not scare Poppy off too much and try to keep her calm, so to speak. So yeah, she said, "Not when I finally found a tenant for this godforsaken apartment." So she quickly regrets that having said that to her. But I still think it was good for Mrs. Harry to say that anyway, because you need to be aware of your surroundings, I think.
Right. And Poppy's like, okay, I'll stay away from that area and I'll be fine. And she talks about, she's thinking, right, this is her memories. She's thinking about how Narin City is the largest city in their country and has job opportunities. And for her, it's a big deal for her to graduate from college and to get a job in the big city. This is a big step forward in her life. And she's just moved here 3 months ago. We see that she felt like she was in a long distance relationship with Jewelry. And, she's moving up in life. And, she's going from being a country girl to being in the big city.
Yeah. Exactly. So, now she's one of the other panels where she's now come back to being back in the police station, and after having that flashback with the landlady about the type of area that 𝗟rie Street is, stay away from that. The rest of the city is okay and stuff, and then she sort of realizes, okay, maybe I shouldn't intimidate or try to intimidate them so much by staring at them. So. And it makes her a bit nervous, as you can see. But she says she'll try and be more careful. And then, before you know it, she's called in to have her interview with Inspector Lane regarding her complaint. So yeah.
And this is where she realizes that the smell is coming from the jacket, and she starts like sniffing the jacket, and she's like, "Oh, it smells like some kind of cologne." And then she her face gets really red and she pushes it down because she realizes that she's sniffing the guy, and she kind of realizes it has this sexual undertone where she's enjoying sniffing the guy's jacket.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought. It was quite funny when and then she gets quite embarrassed by it and is quite flushed and like, oh, is that the smell? It's quite really nice.
Yeah.
But, as well. And then she turns the corner on her way to see Inspector Lane. And then this bad boy crosses her path. So he's boasting about what he's done to some other girl beforehand and everything. And so he looks at her and he thinks she's a walking target because she stands out like a beacon. And then I could step back a bit and say about the guys that were, the 3 criminals that were sitting there staring at her. They knew she weren't from that area because of how she carries herself, how she's dressed, everything. This same guy on the phone, he also noticed she's not from this area as well. And he thinks she's a walking target as well. So it's how Poppy carries herself in that environment. But she's just being herself because, she's just, she's just basically being herself. But it's like these bad boys seem to just
pick up on her.
Yes, they pick up on her, absolutely. So he's and there's what something that gets me is how he's boasting on the phone about taking up another job of that kind, and you'd have thought outside in the police station you wouldn't be on the phone talking. But hey, he's one of those people who thinks he can get away with anything. So anyway, so she's on her way minding her own business, but he decides he's going to try and chat her up.
What he exactly wants to do. It could be that he doesn't even have a plan. He's like, let me just see what I can get away with her.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's just trying it on, basically.
Blocks her way and intimidates her. Throws out some words at her, and Poppy finds herself frozen. And
she's intimidated. She's intimidated and overwhelmed by this man. Oh yeah.
Yeah. she wants to get away, but she can't. She can't make herself move. And she like asks, please let me through. And then thankfully she is rescued by this police officer in the back who yells at the guy, what do you think you're doing? And, tells him to scram, basically.
Yeah. So he was that police officer in a way was a saving grace in a way, because he knew what that guy was doing and what he was up to and stuff. So it was really good that he came to her aid or to her defense at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see, because she doesn't know how to handle these type of guys at this stage of the story. She can't, she's just, they overwhelm her. And you can see in the next panel where she's in tears, absolute tears, because it frightened the living daylights out of her, really. But in a way, she's very, she sort of, she composes herself.
Yeah.
Soon after as well. She's like, she should be here. She's here to do what she needs to do and things like that. So, and then she finally gets to meet Inspector Lane. Now Inspector Lane's a busy lady there, doesn't look up at her when she comes in. She's still at her computer screen tapping away. But, she invites her to sit down.
And Poppy is very relieved that she's a woman, right? She's about to talk to her about somebody taking a pervy shot of her. So she's very excited that she's female.
Yes.
And then basically Inspector Lane makes her realize that the guy, Tora, wouldn't have been able to know that he was taking a picture of her with her chest exposed, right? Because it happened afterwards.
Yeah. I think, yes, that's right. I think the way it was explaining that, it made it look like, I'm just thinking what's the best way to put this across. Because when he said, when Inspector Lane said, so he was unaware that your chest would be exposed when he took a photo of you and stuff like that. But the thing is, when he took if we flash back a little bit, and she reached up for the paper plane to get back that article that she'd written and stuff, and then it burst open, and then he takes the picture and doesn't take the shutter sound off. So it does look like he was taking a pervy sort of picture of her. But
I think it happened really fast. I think he, as soon as he threw the paper airplane, he, probably picked up his camera. And then as she reached up for it, her shirt exploded.
Yes, it strained. It completely burst, because it strained and burst open. Yes. But the thing is, I suppose
she didn't even realize it, Poppy, right?
Well, she realized it. Well, this is it, because the way she was explaining it to the officer, it made it look as if, he didn't know he was taking a picture when it opened and stuff. Yeah. But he still took the picture and he didn't delete it. So, I just think Inspector Lane is just a bit, she's one of those overworked officers that just doesn't really have the time to dedicate to a serious matter like that. Yeah. Which is a little bit
other things to do.
Yes, it's a little disheartening for Poppy, because she's actually taken the steps to go in there and make that complaint, because she was perfectly within her rights to do that at that particular stage of the story, at that time, because Tora was a complete stranger to her at that time. So I think she was right to go in and speak about it. But also, when Poppy said, well, can't you take a DNA sample of who this guy is? And the inspector said, well, we don't have the resources to do that.
Right. Her jacket, which is something Lane will look into, in a second. So Poppy looks disheartened, right? And she leaves. And as she's leaving, Lane is looking all frustrated, rubbing her temples. So she looks up at her and she pays attention to the jacket, and she remembers that she has seen it before in the picture of the report from an informant a few months back about Lord Vincent Baltimore's 50th birthday party in 𝗟𝗻 Street, congregation of over 2,000 gang members. And she sees Tora there with that shirt. Now, an interesting thing is like we don't know Tora's relationship with Inspector Lane. We're gonna hear a little bit more about it later. But the fact that this report is from an informant is something that a lot of people have picked up on, because we know that Tora was arrested by the police after he was sold out by Goliath, and we don't know what happened afterwards. So one theory is that he's an informant, and here's a little bit of evidence or information for that.
The question I want to ask, why do you feel that Tora might be might potentially be an informant? Because I never really picked up on that, to be honest.
Well, because how did he get, once he was arrested from the police, what happened after that? Like, he was just released? Like, what's been happening? And also the fact that we'll see in a few chapters, he has some kind of relationship with Inspector Lane, right? How did that happen as well?
Okay, yes, because I remember, at some point, he she does contact him at some point, doesn't she? Yeah, Inspector Lane as well. I wouldn't have thought of Tora being an informant because of the type of clan, Baltimore clan, that he belongs to.
Right. So obviously it's extremely dangerous for him. But one thing, one thing people have is maybe he's working against the clan from within the clan and trying to bring it down from within. Yeah. All these theories, we just don't know how it's going to play out.
Yeah. I mean, it's because he wants to keep a low profile. I suppose I'm coming from the angle where he's less, if he is taken into custody and he's questioned by the police, he'll probably say very little. That's how I would see it. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking there was another informant that may come into play as well. But like you said, it'd be quite interesting to see how this all plays out as well.
Yeah. Whatever it is, it will be interesting, that's for sure. And, she describes him like he's tall and kind of big. He's got long black hair, striking emperor eyes. So she, we all notice the striking emperor eyes, and Poppy does as well. And then, when Inspector Lane realizes that was Tora, she kind of gets nervous. She has the sweat marks, and she says, of all people to cross paths with, it looks like I might need a bump with the priority of this case after all. So she recognizes that it's important.
Okay. And it'd be quite interesting to find out why she finds Tora. Why does Tora make her nervous? That is the thing that I'm still not sure about why he makes her nervous, but I'm looking forward to seeing exactly as to how this all plays out as well. And then it cuts to another scene where these two people are having a discussion.
Right. One of them is the guy from the police station, right? The purple-haired guy.
Yes. And another guy, and I think they were about to go and try and see if they can break into Goliath's place.
And they're drug dealers, right? So they talk about like you have 2 weeks worth of crack, right? They definitely have some dealings with drugs, and even the other guy was like, he calls the purple-haired guy like a sick bastard for being interested in this girl, and who knows what his plans were with her. And so their job is to go into Goliath's house and find the notebook and get out. So somebody wants the notebook and knows that Goliath had it. We don't know who their boss is. Well, we'll see a little bit later. They mention the guy's name. But anyway, so they're in this apartment, and you see like the apartment is pretty ugly. It's got this ugly couch and ugly carpet, and there's like powder on the floor, which I'm assuming is drug powder, some kind of drug. And then we see vaguely a figure through the window. Meanwhile, those guys, they have their masks on, and they're like, no one knows he lives there, some secret hideout. And then one guy is nervous. He's like, hold it, something doesn't feel right in here. He's sweating, he's anxious. And he's like, the other guy is like, what are you talking about? Just find the notebook and go. And he has a chill in his bone. No one else knows about this place. He's all nervous. And then we see in the background Tora's muscular arms with his tattoo right there behind them.
The bit that made me laugh hard is when the guy in the balaclava said, something doesn't feel right in here. And then I'm like, okay. And he's becoming more and more nervous and starting to sweat. And then you know something's going to happen. Something's going to kick off here as well. And then he feels Tora right behind him.
And Tora is he's using, he's like sticking around for a bit, right? That's his very casual, informal way of intimidating them, because he's not starting with not starting with anything violent, but he just throws them off and disarms them with the casual line.
Yeah. A bit like the calm before the storm. You know something's going to happen, and then the guys, said wait a minute and stuff, and then who the hell are? And then all you see is Tora's face, Tora's fingers or his hand into the guy's face as well, and wow, he really takes him down on that one. So.
You see, blood spurting. He's, straddling him. He's got his head smashed down there, and with his gorgeous face is speckled with blood. It's a very big contrast, right? It's he has the face of an angel, and he is, has this violent lifestyle. And he says, "I want to know just who the F sent you here," and that's where it ends.
Yeah, and I thought it was quite, interesting as to why Tora knew they were coming. How did he know they were coming to Goliath's old place? So somebody gave him some information to let him know that they're going. But then when that guy, one of the guys there, the one who tried to chat up Poppy, that one, I am wondering if they had technology to track his call and have a discussion, say, well, come round to this, and then somebody passed on the information to Tora, so Tora was there waiting for them to turn up.
That's a good one. That makes sense. I don't know what tools he has at his disposal. I know Tora is not supposed to be very tech savvy, but he definitely is clever. So wherever he got it from, he knew, and he showed up. And he's not even using weapons. He's using his bare hands. It just shows that he's still confident in his physical abilities to overcome two people. He doesn't even need weapons.
Well, he's like a man mountain, isn't he? 6'3" and very buff. So he's he's supposed to be a martial arts expert as well. So he's an all-rounder, this guy. So two regular shaped guys are probably no problem for him to deal with and to handle. Yeah.
Okay, so do you have any closing thoughts on the episode as a whole?
It's quite interesting to know that there's going to be several informants that will soon come out and be revealed at some point at time. So what is it that Inspector Lane has or what is it that she's worried about?
Right.
With regards to Tora, why is she so bothered about it? So there's something going on there as well. I'm also thinking, she's probably thinking, what does Poppy have to do with Tora as well? So she's probably,
why was Tora interested in taking a picture of her?
Yes. Why is he doing that? That's what Inspector Lane is thinking of. So it'll be quite interesting to see how all these things pan out. Really, I think that's all I can say from my angle. Really,
yeah, this is great. Thank you so much, Tanya, for coming on and for gracing us with your insight and your British accent.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Mindy. That's so kind. But thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and we'll be finding out answers to this as we keep reading NPO.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'll always be doing some fast pass moves as well, so I need to, love to keep up with what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thank you so much, Tanya.
Okay, thank you so much, Mindy.
Thank you so much to my current patrons: Suzie, LadyLibris, Lily, Jenny, Molly, Veronica, Emily, Jo, Rochelle, 𝗪cie Tacos, Ann Rose, Alexa, Misty, Joanne, Imelda, Esther, 𝗪𝗏𝗡 people, Emily, Jean, Jen, Erin, Kate, Lily, Beckett, Miranda, Christine, Sadie, Kelly, Teresa, Mrs. Castaldo, Diana, Louisa, and Rachel. Your support is truly appreciated.